Hello and good morning to all joining us via Zoom and our Facebook live stream. Welcome to the Center for Enlightenment's exploration of the spiritual teachings, Jewels from Jane Elizabeth. Each Sunday will be a free-flowing adventure with teachings by Jane Elizabeth Hart, facilitated by Certified Center for Enlightenment teachers. We are working from the self-study lesson found on our website at cfenlightenment.org. Today's self-study lesson titled Change. Our topic is Embracing Change. Greg Rett will be the facilitator for this lesson. Greg is a certified teacher for the Center for Enlightenment and longtime student of Jane Hart, studying with her for over 30 years. Jane is the author of Spiritual Power Tools, Support for Your Soul, master teacher, and founder of the Center for Enlightenment. Today's course will be live streamed via Facebook. A recording will be sent out with the weekly reflections so you can access it anytime. And for those new to this format, your chat icon is located at the bottom of your screen. Just click to view. If you have any technical questions, please reach out to the host or co-host via the chat room. In addition to the Sunday courses, there will be a question and answer discussion on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. A link for these sessions will also be posted in the chat room. If you're in need of prayer support, please contact us at cfenlightenment.org or just type centerforenlightenment.com. We are active on Facebook and Twitter. Come check us out, share your thoughts, reflections, and experiences. It would also be a great support to like the postings that resonate with you. We also invite you to visit our website at cfenlightenment.org. There you will find additional self-study lessons, talks, videos, or you can search for specific topics to support your expansion in consciousness. So let's just take a deep breath as we move into the silence. Let's begin today's journey with the prescription for spiritual alignment.
Welcome. And as we embrace change, let's get to the source of all those beneficial changes in our lives. That heart that is that center for enlightenment that's within us. We are aligned with the presence of God within. We are protected by God's love, wisdom, knowledge, and grace. The God consciousness within helps us discover more about who we are. Thank you, God, for the gift of spiritual intuition. Thank you, God, for aligning our conscious, subconscious, and superconscious minds. And in the spirit of change, we say thank you. Amen. Well, as you've been dealing with your changes this week, you've been given an opportunity to embrace those changes and so make beneficial outcomes in your life. Third dimensionally, in your physical life, emotionally, mentally, but especially spiritually. As you embrace change, what you're doing is fulfilling that purpose that was placed in your soul at the beginning of time. And that purpose is to unfold into God consciousness, to unfold into your full soul awareness, your fourth dimensional consciousness. But as you're going through changes, if this week you've noticed you've had some difficulty with changes, realize that change is inevitable and change is calling on you to embrace it because life is change. The more you resist change, the harder it is to go through it. But when you get comfortable with your life and you stay stuck there, what happens is that your soul brings you new opportunities to grow and to change. These changes are brought into your life so that you will become stronger, so that you will become more resilient. And these changes move you out of those old patterns that keep you stuck all the time. And in so doing, you develop greater and greater skills that support you as you move forward into your enlightenment, which is your ultimate goal. That Center for Enlightenment is within you. And the truth is that there is nothing out there. And I've been told that all my life, but only recently has it begun to dawn on me that everything in my life is a play. I've believed it, I've taught it, but it's like the veils are being lifted and I'm seeing that every situation in my life is truly an opportunity for me to grow and to change and to be. And as we embrace those changes, we will get moved forward in our consciousness toward that ultimate goal. Now, if you start to notice subtle changes within you, what's really going on is that you're developing a new awareness that's opening up a new world to you. And that new world is one of letting go of old ideas and expanding into a new awareness. But the thing that's covering over this expansion in consciousness is fear. So the tool of journaling is the most powerful tool that you can have. Journal about your fears. Get in touch with what's really going on there and forgive yourself for holding limited ideas about yourself within yourself. Maybe you've had ideas about the way you're supposed to be, even spiritually. Spiritual perfectionism is one of the greatest barriers to spiritual growth. Realize that you are letting go of a former old belief about yourself, and letting go of it will help you to change in a transformation from the old consciousness that you've had into a more expansive expression of your soul. What change does is it gets you unstuck. And by being in your observer self through your journaling, you begin to understand what you're afraid of about change, what's blocking those changes. Write down what you're observing. This observer self, this journaling about the fears is important so that you can recognize those things that are keeping you stuck. And what this does is that it helps you to recognize those old patterns, those limiting ways of looking at things. And so if you stand back just a little bit and observe yourself, you'll begin to see those habit patterns. And you'll find that even as you move forward, occasionally you'll notice that you're reverting back to old patterns of behavior, of thinking, of feeling. And you'll say to yourself, well, I thought I'd already handled that. The truth is that this is an inevitable process, part of the process of unfoldment. It's inevitable that you're going to move forward and that you're going to find yourself reverting back to those old patterns. When you make a commitment to change, you become aware of those old habits, and your higher self gives you an opportunity to address them. And you're integrating these changes into your being, which takes more than one step. There's more than one pass, more than one go in order to bring these things about, with these changes about within your being. So just ask yourself, what's your observer self, your active observer, showing you right now about your emotional states? What have you noticed recently? Have you been becoming aware of what we call comfort zones? And have you seen how those comfort zones have kept you immobilized and unwilling to experience an expansion in your consciousness? One of the things to let go of as you're going through these changes is the need to intellectually understand every step. Life is all about change, and how you handle those changes is the most important thing, not so much that you have an intellectual understanding. So let go of your need to have chapter and verse of every understanding in your mind or in your head. Instead, just go through the changes and trust that the revelations will come as you need them. Jane shares in the video that we're going to watch at the end of this time that she's gone through so many changes in her life. And every time that she has made a change, she's had to grab onto that change and not let it drag her down, but rather allow it to build her up. Change changes you. You can't be the same person after you've gone through a significant change in your life, because changes come into your life to make you stronger. Every day is an opportunity to let go of patterns that have kept you stuck. In doing this, you develop important spiritual skills and you build the muscles of your soul. Change provides the resistance necessary to build those muscles. So as you embrace your changes, you're also going to embrace the emotional pain that surfaces, that comes up along with those changes in life. And you'll use that emotional pain and the release of it to move yourself forward in consciousness. And I really want to suggest that you pick up your Spiritual Power Tools book and turn to the chapter on dissolving your emotional pain. It gives you step-by-step instructions on how to deal with these emotions that are sometimes so difficult. So what changes are you going through right now? And how do you think these changes are affecting you in terms of your spiritual growth? What kind of benefits are you getting out of these changes? So how can you best support yourself while you're going through these changes? How can you embrace those changes that are inevitable in your life? First of all, the step that we've got to take is to recognize that life is about change. The truth is that you're going to change. And so often I try to resist it, push it away, push it back, push it down, look the other way. But avoiding change only makes it more difficult and slows things down. But once I stopped having these little temper tantrums, I realized that by actually embracing the changes, I could move through them forward in them much more easily. Because this is what life is all about. And so embracing the process that is the purpose of life allowed me to grab hold of some of these changes and create something new in terms of consciousness for myself. Recognize that you are on an adventure of discovery. Your life is growing into greater and greater understandings, and you're uncovering the courage and the strength that you need to go through it. And by going through these changes and embracing them, you're unleashing a hidden spiritual energy and power. This is how you generate the spiritual power that builds your consciousness. The truth is that you have everything you need within you to handle any situation in your life. But you've got to ask for help. And you've also got to have the determination, the willingness to go through these changes. And you notice something as you go through changes, success builds upon success. You realize that once you can do one thing successfully, then you find yourself able to do other changes in your life more and more easily with greater facility. In doing this, you're supporting your soul. But first, in going through this, you have to take charge of your emotions. Emotionally, sometimes you get rocked to the very core of your being. It's sometimes very difficult. And Jane says in the video, physical pain for her was a lot easier than the emotional pain that she had to go through. Emotional pain is disruptive and it can be draining, and it has to be dissolved. So what do you do when you're faced with these sometimes baffling and difficult emotions? Well, the first thing to do is to journal. Sit down with pen to paper and ask, what is really going on with me? Take those 5 journaling questions. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? What's going on that's causing this feeling? How's this a repeating pattern in my life? And then ask yourself, what is my soul trying to show me here? And finally, if my soul were in charge and not my ego, how would I handle this differently? Ask yourself, what is it that's bothering me right now? What am I feeling? And realize that your attitude about change will change the outcomes in your life for the better. But first, you have to face your emotions and identify them and find out what's generating them. And then you can support yourself in standing in the right consciousness to go through those changes. But first, you have to come to that point of acceptance. That point of acceptance that says, I'm going to be faced with many changes in my life. Some are going to be scarier than others. Some are going to be no fun at all. But I've got to learn how to embrace these changes. You're going to embrace your changes more and more and use them for growth. And journaling them is the key. By journaling your changes, you'll uncover the hidden gold that is within every difficult circumstance in your life, instead of trying to suppress or push it away. And one of the things you'll find is that by taking responsibility for your consciousness and your changes, you don't project them out on circumstances and people so much. You know, we make our lives so much harder because by suppressing change in our lives, they bubble up somewhere else. It's like whack-a-mole. You know, it comes up over here and then it comes up over there. We've got to get down to what's really going on. Another analogy Jane has used is the pots on a stove. She said it's like you got a 4-burner stove and you got four different things, and one starts boiling over, and you stir it to slow it down, and another starts boiling it over, and you're spending all your time trying to keep the pots from boiling over. And most of our lives are run like that. But the secret is to do what? To turn down the heat. And those are those emotions. That heat is those emotions that are coming up to the surface that boil over all the circumstances in our lives. So ask yourself in journaling, what is it that I need to learn from this experience? What is it in me that I don't like in them? What is this uncovering within my life? Recognizing that everyone in your life is your mirror. Now, you might say, well, I would never act like that. Maybe not right now, but somewhere in your subconscious is a hidden memory of a past life or a time in your life when that consciousness was active. And so your job is to forgive yourself. If not in this life, most assuredly in another life, everyone in your life is a mirror for you. So you can use each and every situation in your life to move your consciousness forward and to uncover what you need to see within yourself. And sometimes the lesson is simply not to take things personally. If somebody's behaving in a way that I don't agree with, maybe I just need to let go of that need within me to get approval from them or to take it so personally. So instead of hiding from the truth, what you find is that you have a new capacity to give and receive love. You find that your heart starts opening. Every time you open up and you let go of something, that releases a barrier in your heart. And you can take down that wall. It's a gift of freedom. And then what happens when you have your next opportunity for change is that you can take that next possibility for your soul so much more easily. You become more and more spiritually conscious, and you embrace your whole self. The analogy of the iceberg is in the Spiritual Power Tools book. And in this analogy, Jane shows us that we're 1/10 conscious and 9/10 subconscious. And sometimes during times of changes, these baffling things come up, but you're embracing your whole self and owning it all so that you can dissolve whatever is beneath the surface in your subconscious mind. And sometimes that feels very difficult. Jane calls it being pulled through a knothole. But if we let go, we can move through those resistant times. And as you gain a greater facility to go through changes, you move through them faster. She calls it in the video, becoming a spiritual warrior, a hero to your own consciousness. And so these changes aren't always easy, but you begin to get excited about your journey. You know, the other day I had the most simple thing. It happens to all of us. I lost my wallet, or at least I thought I lost my wallet. And there I was between places, backtracking, looking at things. And I realized the only thing I can control right now is my own consciousness. And so I just said, thank you, God, thank you, God, thank you, God, and allowed this to be an opportunity in trust, an opportunity in centering and not being thrown off my center. And yeah, I had butterflies in my stomach, but I just kept with it. And I even said, thank you for this opportunity. I surrendered the circumstance. If I need to experience a new identity by getting new credit cards and different identification, fine. I was just letting all that go, and I was just being in the now moment. Of course, when I went home, it was sitting right there. But it was an opportunity for me to change and to grow. Each time you're able to do something like that, and you do it sometimes kicking and screaming, you're not going to do it perfectly, but each time you gain greater strength and you build upon those successes. And then you're able to make better changes in your life going forward. The only thing you really have, you don't have possessions because you're going to leave them sooner or later. You don't have relationships or money or jobs or anything ultimately, because in the end, you're left with only one thing, your consciousness. And so all these changes are here to grow you and to build your consciousness. Consciousness is the only thing you take with you. And your consciousness is the only thing that you have any control over ultimately, that you can truly take charge of. And you are the only person who's responsible for that consciousness. Nobody else can do anything for you. Nobody else can do anything to you. Ultimately, you are responsible. And once you realize this, you never really can hide from yourself. You can't stay in that attitude of, oh, I'm a victim and look at for me. Yes, you handle things, and sometimes you might handle things drastically, but only from a point of understanding that this has come into my life to help me to grow. So every situation in your life helps you to work in the best interest of your soul. And you start to find it easier to act in the best interest of your soul. And you notice that you've changed how you look at those so-called problems in your life. The word problem comes from root words pro and blema, which means to move you forward. Every problem in your life exists to move you forward. And so as you embrace those changes, you realize that everything in your life is here to bring you closer and closer to the desire of your heart. Get in touch with that desire of your heart right now. What is that desire? What is there within your heart right now? Is there a desire in your heart to awaken, to be all you can be, to experience that center for enlightenment that's there? And beyond that, in your everyday life, you solve your everyday third dimensional problems much better by embracing change, by using your journaling, by opening up your intuitive awareness, by being current with your emotions and taking down the walls of fear and all of the resistance. And what that does is it lifts you up into a higher perspective from which you can see what it is you need to do in your life. It becomes much more obvious. You begin to see what's actually going on in your life, and you can support yourself in making better outcomes. And you notice something else. You hold the light for the people around you because you're doing this work not just for yourself, but on behalf of all of humanity. This is your great privilege, your responsibility, but it's a sacred privilege to hold the light for the people around you. I've heard Jane say so many times, you, meaning her students, are usually the highest consciousness in whatever room or situation you're in. At your work, in your family, in your home, you are usually the highest consciousness that's there. So you're the light holder. You are the bearer of the light. And you start to realize that there's really nobody who's separate from you out there. And you really can become a support and a help for the people around you because of that new, more open vibration that you begin to send out. You shine that light. And it's not that you go around telling everybody what they should do. In fact, I found that the farther I am on the path, the less advice I give other people. Only under guidance, only when it pushes through. Otherwise, it's just a quiet light. Realize that on the spiritual journey, you have this responsibility because you are the highest consciousness in that office, in that room, in that family, in your neighborhood. And so you are becoming that light by just being in that higher part of yourself. Even in little interactions, you make a significant difference in people's lives, but you don't even realize it. When you're in the store and you're just joking around and bantering with the person behind the counter, and you're just being without thought. It isn't that you have to lay it on thick. It comes through you because you're doing your own inner work, and that light just shines forth. And the people around you won't realize it. They won't necessarily realize why, but they'll begin to feel more lifted up because you're on a different vibration. you're in a different energy than you've been in your past. And you'll begin to see other people responding. You may even have the privilege of seeing how their lives are affected. In this world today, so many of us are troubled by the things that we see around us. We wish that circumstances would conform to our idea of the way things should be. But could it be, just as you had to go through every circumstance in your life, no matter how dreadful it looked, to get to where you are now, could it be that the world's going through the same process and that your job is to bring the light forth in the people around you and in this world? But first, you have to realize that you're not your body, you're not your mind, you're not your ego. You are a light energy, and your job in affecting change within yourself is to be an agent for change in the world around you, not through imposing it on other people. I've seen so many people who go on crusades for peace on earth, and they do some rather unpeaceful things as a result. Instead, let this peace generate from within your being. And this light shines forth and affects change around you in ways that you can't even see. And you'll also notice that this light is supporting you in solving your own problems more effectively. Everything you need to make changes in your own life, to be that light in the world, as Jesus said, I am the light of the world, but you are also the light of the world. All spiritual masters have talked about this light. Realize that everything that you need is here in your heart. The center for enlightenment is right here. And you can embrace these changes within you by taking a few moments to meditate every day, by making just a little bit of effort. Just a little bit. One of the things that's come up the last few weeks for me is that I was trying too hard to make big changes in my life instead of just focusing on this moment and making little changes, taking even baby steps, small steps, being a little more conscious, a little more peaceful, quieting my mind a little bit, being here now just a little. And what this does is it brings us into alignment with our own souls. And then we find that we are flowing through life. And one of the ways to do this is to meditate, yes, but also to enjoy nature. Do you take a little time to be in the natural flow of the beauty that's around you? Even if you have to look out of the window to see it, just be aware. And whatever's going on, you just go through it. You just release it and you let it go. If there's some problem in your life, your soul is yearning to move in consciousness and is pushing through you through that problem. And you are receiving a greater revelation in how to go through that change. So in the video, Jane talks about having a meditation station. That's a place where you can just sit down and this is your dedicated place. And she even talks about having a shawl. And this is my blanket that I use. It's bigger than a shawl. I cover myself up when I'm a little bit cool. And it just gives you a feeling of, yes, I'm meditating now. This is my energy. It's like a talisman that you use in order to draw yourself into the consciousness of meditation. And by taking the time every day to meditate, and the consistency is what's key, you are taking the steps you need to support the evolution of your soul. This hidden seed of desire to grow and to become all that you could be has been laying there latent for centuries, for millennia, for eons of time. And now it's coming forth. And so in watching this video together, let's take a few moments to just breathe and relax and to take in this understanding that change is inevitable and that we can embrace those changes in our lives. So let's watch this video together.
So support yourselves as you're going through these changes that are happening in your life, because this is what life is about, change, and being able to grab hold of those changes and make something powerful for yourself. You uncover this wonderful courage that you have within, and that courage propels you forward, and you can handle anything that's given to you because you've already done it once. If you've done it once, you can do it twice. And if you do it twice, you can do it the third time. It's supporting your soul emotionally. Emotions are so difficult. The emotions, I would rather physically move my whole apartment than go through 2 days of emotional pain. It's a lot easier. Physical things are a lot easier than emotional pain. Emotional pain drains us. It just totally tears us apart. And if you can take that emotional thing that's happening within your life, and you can journal about it, or think about it and identify, what is it that's bothering me? What is it that I need to change to move through this? I have the power. I have everything I need. My mind is the thing that's going to change the outcome. Your mind changes the outcome. Your mind will support you in standing in the right consciousness to make the change. We are going to be faced with many changes, and some of them are more scary than others. I totally admit that. There's some changes that were really fun to make, but some were not fun at all, until I learned to handle them differently, to embrace them rather than push them away, to suck them in and say, okay, what is it that I need to learn through this experience? This person that I'm having problems with. Why am I having problems? What about them that I don't like, that's in me, that I don't like about me, and I don't like seeing them because it reminds me of me? That was a big awakening, because there was all kinds of people that are acting perfectly beautiful. They helped me to find that out for myself. You see? They mirrored me. And it was, I started to realize that what I didn't like in them were the things that I didn't like in myself. It was easier for me to put it off on them than to look at me. And it wasn't making me more conscious. It wasn't making me more aware. It was just stuffing my feelings and turning them around and making them somebody else's problem, not mine. I started to recognize what Jane needed to do about Jane. And if I didn't, and if I wanted to hide from it, I wasn't going to be able to experience more love in my life. I wasn't going to be able to experience more freedom. Because every time you take one of these barriers down, it's a freedom. It's a huge freedom that comes forth for you. And you're ready to take the next possibility because you know that there's a freedom. You become more conscious. You become more spiritually conscious of your whole soul. And that's what we're about. We are about becoming fully conscious of our whole self. Not the little tiny 1/10 of us that's conscious right now, but we open the door wide and we let it come forth, and we let it push us and let us pull us through the knothole into a greater awareness of who we are in the whole essence of our beingness. And once you really get to embrace that, it happens faster and faster and faster. And you become a spiritual warrior. And you're excited about your journey. You're not afraid anymore because you know as you walk through that you are going to come out a great hero. Hero to your consciousness. A great hero within, because you went through this and you know that you can do it again. And you know that no matter what happens to you, you can do what's necessary for you to do to make those changes in your consciousness. The only thing we have is our consciousness. The only thing that is present within us is our consciousness. We are in charge of it. It's a scary responsibility. When I realized I was responsible for my consciousness, I was responsible for what was going on and how I was thinking about things and how I was responding to things, I really had to get real with myself. And getting real wasn't too much fun, because then you can't hide from yourself. You know yourself. You can't hide from yourself. And you start to do the responsible thing spiritually for your soul. You begin to understand that there's something bigger inside of you, yourself, that is pushing you to come forward. And every step you take is bringing you closer and closer to fulfilling that desire of your heart. And it also helps you in solving everyday problems. Everyday problems get simplified because you see them at a different dimension, a higher dimension of self. You don't look at things on the surface anymore. You do not look at things on the surface because you have a greater perspective of what's going on. And you can see it from the mountaintop. And you can see yourself in action. And you can support things coming out the way they need to come out. Not only for yourself, but for your loved ones. And those people that God brings into your life to lovingly support, move, and help. We are spiritual beings, always moving in energy and light and love, and the vibration you send out is affecting others. The vibration and energy that you embrace others in is affecting them. So you have a responsibility that's even bigger when you're on a spiritual journey, because it's saying to you, you need to embrace more light. You are the light. You become the light. You become the vibration and energy. And by just being in the highest part of yourself, you are a blessing to everyone. You are a blessing to yourself, to that person, the salesperson that you bought the perfume from. You are a blessing. You are a blessing to anybody you talk on the telephone. They feel lifted up by just simply speaking to you, because you're on a different vibration. You are on a different energy. And it's a wonderful but scary responsibility. It's a scary but wonderful responsibility. And once you've had the opportunity to use this energy, and you see people's lives changing before you because you're standing in it, you're sitting in it, because you are part of that, you just want to keep moving your own consciousness so that you can support others to move theirs. If you are the light, you bring the light out of each other. If you are a light, you bring the light out of each other. It's the law of the universe. And even though you think you're a body sitting here, you are a light energy with a vibration sitting here. And at another level, you can see all the light in this room that is swirling around and becoming more apparent to the whole body temple. Your body temple is taking this energy in. It's taking this life energy force in and supporting you and solving your problems. When I realized how my problems are getting solved so effortlessly, and how I struggled with so much before, and now it's simply, I know what to do when I have a situation that is uncomfortable in my life. I know how to handle it. I know what to support myself in doing. And that's why I say to you, you are a light. You are an energy force. And everything that you have or need is right here. You are the center. You are the center of your own enlightenment. And you take responsibility by meditating every single day. If you can find one spot in your house that you can have a little meditation table or a chair, and you sit in it every single day for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, I don't care, 10 minutes, half hour, whatever, but it will start to move your consciousness. And if you have a problem and you need an answer, go to that chair, sit in it, and say, I need an answer to this problem. I'm going to still my mind. I'm going to put on some music. I am going to meditate. And my CD is a great one to bring you in to alignment. So I will recommend it because it helps me. I listen to my own CD to help me get in center when I can't get in center. So, but it supports that energy in you. Anything you can do, look at a candlelight, whatever it is, go sit under a tree. But so take your problem and then release it and let it go, and it will be solved. The change will happen because we're in change now. This is the time, and it's coming to us. And I told you tonight, you are all going to get a blessing this week. You will have an answer to something that you've been wanting an answer to. You're going to get some new energy to look at things because we were together, because you offered yourself up in meditation tonight. You've helped each of us to move. So we have a wonderful opportunity this week to move in consciousness, to change the way we're thinking, to shake us up a little maybe, and remake us and remold us and give us new thoughts and ideas of how to support our soul. Our soul is yearning to move in consciousness. Our soul is making us move. It's making us uncomfortable if we don't move. And so get yourself a place that you can always go to meditate. And I have a special spot. And when I ask you for your prayers and your prayers, how I can support you in prayer, you're on my meditation table. And I get to see these every day. Some of you give me your picture, and I've got lots of pictures. And I hold you all in the love and light of God, knowing that God is going to answer your prayer, that whatever you are asking for, you're going to get a revelation for, or a greater understanding, a healing if you need a healing. A new relationship will come forth if you need a new relationship. If you're trying to work through an old relationship, you'll have more guidance and more light on that to move through it more quickly. So it's almost like you have this chair, and the minute you sit into it, it automatically helps you get centered because it has your vibe in it. It has your energy in it. And another thing that has helped me is I have a stole. I've had it for probably about 15, 18 years, and some of you probably have seen me wear it. It's a leopard skin on one side and kind of brown on the lining, but I've worn it, and I wear it to meditate. I take it on trips with me, and I put it around me. I have it, it has my vibe in it, because I know that the minute I put it around me, it's like, give yourself something that you always put on when you're meditating. Just, maybe it's a jacket, maybe it's a tie, maybe it's a piece of jewelry, doesn't matter. Whatever it is, use it and be your like a talisman. That's something that helps you get centered and brings you into that energy that's going to help you more easily to stay in the space. Because if you do that, you're going to be supporting the evolution of your soul. You're going to be supporting that which your soul is trying to tell you. My soul was trying to tell me things 20 years before I ever started to get in touch with it. It was pushing me. It was pushing me when I was a little girl. It was making me ask questions when I was tiny. And then as I grew older, I knew I wanted to touch the hem of God to do something so that I would know more about what God was about, and which brought me into meditation. And I thought, Jesus meditated on the mountain. Well, I guess it's good enough for him. It's good enough for me. I'll try it. And it worked. It worked. That's why I teach meditation. I just want to... There's nothing I can really teach you. You have it already. Maybe I could spark it in you, help you to think about these things a little differently, or supporting you. That's all I want you to do, is to go within and find these answers out for yourself. You are an individualized expression of God. You are a soul evolving. Your soul is different from any other soul in this room. We're all different. We all have different purposes. We all have reasons for being here that are different. So what works for me may not work for someone else. But I will tell you, if you can meditate and calm yourself down however you want, can, or might be able to do it, you are going to change. You are. Even if your mind goes crazy for the whole time you're sitting here, you will change. It's part of the law of the universe. It's tapping into the universal consciousness, even when you can't think you can't. Because some of the time I thought I was, well, that was a waste of time. I sat there for a half hour and all I did was plan my menu for the week. I cleaned my house in my mind. And I thought, oh, I couldn't get still. I couldn't get quiet. But something was happening within me. And I started to get, slowly but surely, more quiet. And I stopped cleaning my house in my mind. And I stopped fixing my meals in my mind. And I stopped figuring out what I was going to do with my kids in my mind. And I started, when I stopped it, I started getting those kind of problems solved. Not from my thinking about it, but my tapping universal knowledge, which came into consciousness and I knew what to do. And it was never what I would have ever thought to do, and it always worked. Some of the things that I did, I would have never thought of ever doing, but it helped me with my children because I started looking at them as souls evolving and not simply my little kids that I had to take care of. Even when they were 5, 6, 8, 10, they were souls evolving. What were they trying to tell me? What were these souls trying to tell me? How can I help them? And I would get answers of what to do. And they were far different than what I would have ever chosen for them. So here we are. We are all evolving. You are souls evolving. You have brilliance within you. And you have to trust it. You have to have faith in yourself. As these changes are happening, and so many of you have asked in the prayer requests, how do I change this? Or what happens when change takes place? How do I handle my changes? I'm just trying to give you some of the tools that helped me and supported me in this venture, and seeing if I could maybe share some of these ideas with you, that maybe they would help you to tap into your resources that are right here. So I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your love and your life with me. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. I appreciate it so very much. And I'll see you out there.
So the purpose of life is fulfilled by embracing those changes and uncovering that courage and that strength that will lead you to the desire of your heart, which is your enlightenment, which is the awareness of the truth of your being. And every time you embrace change instead of resisting it, you gain greater and greater freedom. I want to invite you to join with us on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we have a question and answer support group. And in that support group, we get an opportunity to share what's going on in our lives, or we can just observe. So don't feel like you have to say anything, but it's a great way to be with like-minded souls. That's 7 Eastern, and the link is in your chat room, and it's also on the website. Also, the Center for Enlightenment is supported by your donations, by your offerings. And so there's also link in the chat room and on the website, and we can continue to do this work in supporting humanity in the changes that humanity is inevitably going through. So as you go forth into your week, embrace those changes. Bye for now.